Hey, hi, hello, my name is dis.cat. This is Project Hardcover, where we're letting books be the escape. Hello, lovelies, and today for you I have my July wrap-up. Now, seeing as I'm at my sister's house and I could not bring all of my books with me, I don't have these physical books on me for the most part, but I will still show like a picture of everything and stuff. Guys, just bear with me. I'm trying to make this whole not being at my home and yet still putting out videos thing work, so please be patient with me, please. All of that aside, I managed to read quite a few books this month, so let's hurry up and just jump right into it. So the first book that I tackled in the month of July, I actually do have on me, and it is Volume 5 of Chew by John Layman and Rob Guillory. So by now, we all know that dis.cat is absolutely adoring this graphic novel series. She loves it oh so much. I feel that this volume and the last one kind of have a similar theme. They're kind of straying a little bit away from the main storyline and just adding a whole bunch more quirk and some side storylines, which I'm perfectly okay with because they're really funny, but I also kind of miss the main storyline because it really was just getting just so interesting. But I still really enjoyed this overall. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And because, guys, I have literally explained what this graphic novel series is all about like at least 8 times on this channel, and I really just don't want to explain what it's about anymore. If you want to know any more about what this graphic novel series is about, please check out any of my past, graphic novel hauls or any of my most recent wrap-ups. It will explain what the basic premise of this graphic novel series is all about. The next book that I read in the month of July was the big one. It was The Beast, and it was the one that just sucked up so much of my time, and it was Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I finally gave in to my friend Ivan from Sona Azra. I will leave a link to his channel down below. Whims and wishes, and I read this beast of a book. Though I find it impossible that you are on BookTube and you don't know what the Mistborn series is about, I will tell you anyway. Mistborn basically takes place in this sort of dystopic fantasy world where this really interesting magical ability called allomancy is possible. And allomancy is basically using metals that you ingest to do really spectacular things like leap to high buildings or control people's emotions. It's just really super cool. And it follows the story of Vin and Kelsier as they are putting together this epic plot to overthrow the Lord Ruler and his tyrannical reign over their land. Guys, this book was a beast. It took me the majority of the month to get through this one book. But that's kind of the trend with really dense fantasy books with me. They take me forever to read. They just require so much dedication and focus, and they just take the longest time. But they usually are just so worth it in the end, and Mistborn is no exception to this rule. This world is so flippin' amazing. I love the way that this world has been constructed. I love these characters. You just grow so attached to them so quickly. And allomancy and like all of the magical elements of this world, I am so jealous. Like, I swear to God, I'm pretty sure that if I had to pick just like one ability to have from like any book series, it would be allomancy, because allomancy is so flippin' cool. I can't not even begin to explain. Needless to say, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Just everyone on BookTube is right. Brandon Sanderson is fantastic. This book series is fantastic, and I cannot wait to continue on with it, even though I know it's just going to get harder and harder and harder to get through these books because they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Just, these books, they're so scary, but they're so good. So before I even managed to finish Mistborn, we had the CRAMATHON that took place this month, and I managed to read quite a few books for that. You can check out all of my thoughts on my CRAMATHON books in my CRAMATHON wrap-up, which you guys can check out right here. High five, high five. But I will still give you a brief run through of the books that I read and the star rating that I gave the books. The first book that I read for the CRAMATHON was The Realm of Possibility by David Levithan, and I gave that book 3 stars. Then I read Once by Morris Gleesman, which I gave 4 stars. Then I read Lips Touch 3 Times by Laini Taylor and Jim D. Bartolo, which I gave 4 stars. Then I read Morning Glories Volume 4 by Nick Spencer, which I gave 4 stars. And then finally for CRAMATHON, I read Chew Volume 6 by John Layman and Rob Guillory, which I gave 5 stars. So after I finished CRAMATHON and Mistborn, I picked up finally, Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. So this is one of those just basic, typical contemporary books. It's one of those contemporary books that just everyone has read and everybody has loved. It's like the contemporary book that everyone has read and everyone has loved. You know, except me, because that's how I like to roll. But this month, I finally changed that, and I'm so glad I did. I'll admit, when I first jumped into this book, I was a little surprised. It just wasn't at all what I was expecting. It isn't, you know, completely light and fluffy, and the writing style is kind of like really different than most other contemporary books that I've read. But that just made me enjoy it so much more, and the characters were just painfully adorable, painfully relatable, and extremely likable, like all of them, and I really just cared so much about them. And the story was, of course, really cute and really adorable and relatable. There were, of course, moments that were like, gag me with a spoon, but that's typical in young adult contemporary. Needless to say, I absolutely loved this book. Loved it. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Cannot wait to pick up Lola and the Boy Next Door and Isla and the Happily Ever After. I am just super excited to continue on with these books. The next book that I read in the month of July was The End Games by T. Michael Martin. So as I mentioned in my TBR, this book I decided to pick up purely because Sabrina from Nerdy and Quirky, I will link her channel down below, recommended it in one of her videos, and she made it just sound so painfully interesting. The Endgames is an apocalypse novel, a zombie apocalypse novel, and it follows 2 brothers who are trying to get through the zombie apocalypse in a very peculiar way. Basically, the entire time they're going through the motions of surviving this apocalypse, they're treating it as a video game. And they've got a pretty good lockdown on this whole the zombie apocalypse is a video game thing until, of course, other people start interfering. And that is, of course, when everything goes awry. So Sabrina was 100% correct. The way that this book is pieced together and is written is very different than most other zombie apocalypse novels that I have read, and it just made the whole experience that much more interesting. The book was also incredibly thrilling, incredibly gripping. I cannot tell you how many times I was like waving the book around saying, oh, you guys are so stupid. Why are you trusting these people? Why don't you just shoot them in the head? Don't trust this person. It was just so everything that I wanted. This is why I love reading zombie apocalypse novels. I love getting into that survivalist mode and just wanting to smack people in the head, and it's just so wonderful. So I definitely loved that. And the characters were really deep and complex. They had these really, you know, interesting ways of looking at things, and you didn't know who to trust or when, and it was just, it was really thrilling, and it was really gripping, and it was really enjoyable, and really creepy at some points. And it was just a really good book, and I wish that more people here on BookTube would talk about it. That being said, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars and definitely recommend that everyone go pick it up because it's just it's just really, really good. And then the last book that I picked up this month is another one that I happen to have on me, and it is The Wicked and the Divine Volume 2 by Kieron Gillen. Yes, so some time ago, I can't remember exactly when, I picked up the first volume of this graphic novel series, and I really, really enjoyed it. The story was really interesting, the artwork is beautiful, and it was just really, really intriguing. You just really, really wanted to understand what was going on. It also ended on a humongous cliffhanger. So of course, when the second volume came out this month, I had to get my hands on it, and man, it did not let up at all. It did not let up at all. Just as thrilling and gripping as the first one, just as maddening with all of its twists and turns, and just, I want to understand what's going on just so much. It's so intriguing. This one also ended on a really huge cliffhanger, and just, it hurts so much in the soul when they do that, when they end on cliffhangers. Just evil. Evil people work at Image Comics. Evil people. So with all of that being said, I gave this volume a 4 out of 5 stars. For those of you who don't know what this graphic novel series is about, it is about this alternate world where every 90 years, 12 ancient gods are reincarnated into the bodies of teenagers. And for 2 years, these teenagers become like these pop idol icons. They just are everywhere, and people are in love with them, and they have these huge cult followings. And then after the 2 years is up, they die. And then the whole cycle starts all over again. And it basically just follows the life of this young teenage girl who gets all kinds of wrapped up in all of the conspiracies and fandom nonsense that surrounds these gods. This story is just getting so much more complex and so much more intriguing. And just, if you guys have not picked this up yet, you seriously need to, because this is just gonna keep getting better and better and better, and it's just gonna be so awesome. And that is it. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of July. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have read any of these books and what you thought of them. As always, thanks you guys for watching. I will see you next time, and remember, books are the escape.